I'm Josh Evans, and I love to help businesses build the right culture within their organizations so they can be more profitable. Do you want more engaged employees? Do you want your company to be more productive? Well, I'm going to show you how to do that. And I'm going to share with you the tools that I've used with hundreds of companies varying in size from 60,000 person conglomerates down to 5-person teams. So get ready and join me so we can build the right culture for your business.
Hey, I'm Josh Evans. Welcome back to my show. I'm so excited to have you here. So I was recently watching one of my favorite movies. So one of my favorite movies, and I know it's very dark, so don't judge my character based on the movies that I like necessarily, but it's called Layer Cake, and it's one of the first times I saw Daniel Craig, and this is way before he became James Bond. And in the movie, there's this discussion where, Daniel Craig's like this up-and-coming young guy, and it's in London, right? The London Underground, right? And there's this guy who's been in the business for years, and he gives him this piece of advice. Look, he says, the art of good business is being a good middleman. And it's such a phenomenal little nugget of advice. Like a good middleman. I mean, aren't you really just a pass-through? And everybody talks about getting rid of the middleman, right? You hear all about this when people talk about wholesaling, people talk about recruiting internally. We get rid of the middleman. Okay, hold on a second. Everybody plays the middleman in some sort of a role that they have. It's what gets business running smoothly. It's what helps me maintain my network. It's what helps my friends and the companies that I work with and my family. Being a middleman for things is not a bad thing. And middlemen are not bad people, right? People that see a problem and know somebody that has a solution and puts them together. I mean, if anything, it's more of a facilitator. It really is. And so I'll give you another example. So recently, a good friend of mine came in town from Europe. I say a good friend of mine. He's a distant relative of my wife's, but he came in town from Europe, and he runs this large company, right? He's the COO of some huge automation company and software company. It's really kind of interesting, but they're looking to open up an office here. Well, he approached me and he goes, "Hey, Josh, do you know anybody? What do you know about the industry? What do you know about the marketplace here?" And while I tertiarily know what's going on, I'm not the best person for that because I have my own business, right? I consult. I don't necessarily want to take a new business to market. I'm helping existing businesses in the market. And so what I told him he needed to do was meet with, and I gave him a list of 3 of the best people I think he needed to meet with. And these are the people that I've cultivated relationships with for years. And I was like, you need to meet with this guy, you need to meet with that guy, and you need to meet this guy. And I set up these meetings, and I facilitated him having meetings with the people that are going to help him build a phenomenal business here in the States, right? If he wants to expand here, these people can help him do it. I know that these people fit his needs, right? Because he's looking for a salesperson that is gung-ho and outgoing and can go stir up business and is not afraid of the startup mentality, right? Somebody that's fine being lean and hungry. And I know a guy just like that. I have a very good friend that's his bread and butter. He's phenomenal at that sort of business. So I was like, you got to meet with this person. And here's the thing. He wouldn't necessarily know who to meet with when he came here. He would have to search some other sort of Rolodex that he had access to. And I have no idea who else he's in contact with here, but he knew me. And he knows that I network with lots of people. I know lots of people, right? And I love connecting other people together. And I think they're having breakfast right now together, actually. And the cool thing about this is if we realize that being a good middleman isn't about skimming from the surface. It's not about taking from other people. It's about aligning things that other people don't see, right? It's about seeing a problem over here and seeing a solution over here and bringing them together. That's what it's really about. The art of good business is being a good middleman. It sounds wild, but I have some people that I work with that help me with my media stuff, and they have access to people that I would never have access to. They are playing a phenomenal role as middlemen. I don't have time to deal with all those sorts of things. And so while they're a middleman, they're helping me with my business. Middlemen are not bad. And I know everybody thinks that we need to cut out the middleman. You'll get cheaper prices, but you also get cheaper services too, okay? You just do, right? Check, here's IKEA. They cut out the middleman. They don't have somebody build their furniture, so now I have to. You know how much of a headache it is to build a piece of IKEA furniture? I mean, yes, the instructions are usually pretty good. Yes, the materials are great. Yes, IKEA's awesome. Great. But do I want to spend half of my Saturday frustrated over something mechanical? That's not how my brain didn't work that way. I've done it, and they cut out the middleman because it's cheaper, right? You get quality that's a little bit cheaper because they just manufacture it, they box it, and they send it, or you go pick it up. Box, one of four, and you got to make sure you get all their boxes. Then you put it together. They've cut out the middleman. Is that a good thing? Not if I want to save time. Not if I just want to, set it up. Middlemen are great, okay? It helps business run smooth. It helps people take headaches off their plate. The art of good business is being a good middleman. I have some good friends that train on different subjects that I do, that train on personality training. I have another one that trains specifically just on leadership in certain industries. And so when I come across opportunities there, instead of trying to mold myself into what they're looking for, I'm happy to hand off that business to somebody that I know, somebody that I trust. I'm happy to play the middleman. I think people are too often in it for themselves, and they don't realize that them doing something selflessly for another person is, I don't know, it's not only a good human thing to do, right? But it comes back tenfold later. And I love trying to help other people if I see an opportunity for them. Or if I see a problem I know somebody else can solve, I love putting those two people together. Give you an example. I was working with one of my clients, right, on culture and on employee engagement, and we've been working together for quite a few months, and I love that company, right? And they have a special place in my heart. We did all kinds of retreats, and it was great. And I happened to overhear a conversation where they had some huge problems with their IT, right? In fact, they used to have an internal IT source, but he left. And they didn't have one. And so they're looking for somebody to come in and kind of pick up the pieces and kind of help them fix stuff. And they have this document management nightmare because they have to keep everything on file for government regulation without going into too much detail. But they have to keep everything on record. And so they needed somebody that could come in and help them. I have another buddy. He happens to run a small IT firm who loves projects like this. And he came in. I introduced him. I was like, hey, y'all need to chat. I think he can help you. And I put them together, and now they're working together. I'm just bringing the quartet together. I'm not playing in their band, but I brought them together, and now they're making music. And I think it's so much better to help other people with opportunities. And then in turn, of course, one day, if they come across something that I would be able to help with, they'll recommend me probably. But the art of good business is being a good middleman. Too often, we shy away from being a middleman, or we shy away from people that are middlemen because we think that they're just in it for themselves, or they're just trying to skim or just get their piece, right? Because we think of it like, oh, the middleman who is a furniture reseller or somebody who's buying stuff in bulk and then just selling it for more money. Well, that's capitalism. So don't get upset about that. Okay, what I'm talking about is being a middleman in other people's lives, helping people find what they need to do. I love when people reach out to me and goes, hey, do you know a candidate for this sort of a job? Because we're looking for somebody good. Because it means that they trust my opinion. They know that I approach the situation selflessly. I love introducing people that I know would work well together. In fact, I have a company I used to work for years and years ago. His name's Dave, and he's a great guy. I worked for him, and we had a blast. It was one of the funnest times I've ever had working for somebody else, okay? And he goes, who do you know that could be good for this sort of a role? And it was a step up from the role I was in, but I'm not set for management. I know that, right? I'm much more dynamic than that. I'm no good at policies and hierarchies. I'm great at training them. I'm terrible at being part of them. I know that about myself. And when he reached out, I knew a woman that I used to work with. So you need to talk to this woman, right? She's phenomenal. She's got an eye for detail. She would fit exactly what you need. And he goes, are you sure? I was like, yes. And so I set up this meeting between Dave and Ashley, and they went and they met, they had coffee, and guess what? Now she's manning one of their offices because he saw her value. And it was all because he asked, hey, do you know anybody that would fit this bill? And I was like, well, it's not me, but I do know somebody. And now they have a phenomenal organization, right? And they have phenomenal people working for him, and he's growing this business. I love it. I love it because I was able to play middleman, and now I've helped out Dave and I've helped out Ashley and their business, obviously. The art of good business is being a good middleman. Anyway, I'm off my soapbox again. Once again, I told you I'm making these shorter because I love it and I can bring all the energy, and I hope you're having a phenomenal day. I really do. If you want to reach out and chat with me on the show, I'm happy to do that. I love to bring on questions that people send in and read them out loud. Shoot them over to me at info@joshuamevans.com and follow me on social media. You can check me out at any platform at EnthusiasticU. And reach out, let me know you're listening, and share this with your friends if you like it. Once again, have an awesome day. Hey, good morning. I'm Joshua Evans, and welcome back to my show. I'm so excited to have you here. Thank you for joining me. So, I want to tell you something, and you're going to think it sounds pretty weird, but you need to stop being the voice of reason in everybody's life. You need to stop being the voice of reason. I know what you're thinking. You're like, Josh, that's ridiculous. Why would I stop telling people what's actually going on? Like, you have to be a voice of reason, right? There's too much chaos and craziness going on. There's people that are way off on tangents. I need to be the voice of reason in other people's lives. I'm telling you that's wrong. You shouldn't be the voice of reason. So, here's the full phrase, because I just gave you half of it and it's confusing, right? Do not be the voice of reason. Be the voice of support. It's not always easy to be supportive of people, is it? I think a lot of times we see somebody struggling or we see somebody doing something that we know is going to end in some sort of a lesson. And we want to stop them before they make too big of a mistake. And so, no, can I just be the voice of reason for a second? It's probably not a good idea to add gasoline to that fire. We see it, right? Because we have clear eyes and we have our intrinsic knowledge that we've learned. We want to share that with somebody else. But you know what? People don't see you as helping them. They see you as being a detractor. And then nobody does it maliciously, right? Nobody's trying to be oppressive to other people. But we do that. So don't be the voice of reason. Be the voice of support. With this, I want to hand you a really funny story. When I was a kid, this is pre-elementary school. When I was a kid, I remember this particular time. We had a babysitter that I was sent to during the day. And this story gets brought up at every family event. Like, I'm grown now. I have 3 children. Like, I shouldn't have to still live down stories like this, but here we go. All right, so I was about 4 years old. I remember it very distinctively, and you'll find out why in a minute, and I get reminded of it every holiday. But I walk up to the babysitter. She's got this plate of nachos, right? So there's chips and cheese and these little green things all over it. And I walk up and I go, can I have a nacho? Can I have one? And she goes, oh, no, Josh. They're hot. They're spicy. And I look at her skeptically, and I reach over, and I touch one of the chips, and I go, it's not hot. And then she repeats herself, no, Josh, they're jalapeno hot. They're spicy. Those green things are very spicy. It'll burn your mouth. And I still don't believe her, right? Because I don't necessarily understand the concept of spice. And so I reach out again, just defiantly, and I touch directly on one of the jalapenos, and I look her dead in the eye, and I say, it's not hot. And so she's forced now to try and explain what spicy is. Spicy doesn't feel hot to the fingers, Joshua. It'll burn your mouth, though. It'll make your mouth feel like it's on fire. And once again, I think she's just trying to keep these nachos from me. I think she wants to keep them for herself. And so once again, I reach out, and I touch one of the nachos, and I go, it's not hot. And at this point, she's done as much convincing as she wants to, right? She's tried to be the voice of reason. And so she switched to being supportive. She goes, okay, Josh, have a nacho. And I took one of these nachos triumphantly, and I shoved it into my mouth, and I probably chewed it 3 times before the pain of regret washed over me. All of a sudden, my mouth is just engulfed in this fire feeling. Now, the real memory, and all of those details were kind of given to me later. They reminded me what happened. But the part that I remember is I remember standing there with snot running down my face, tears coming out of my eyes, and no idea on how I needed to solve this problem. I had no idea what I needed to do to stop this fire from taking over my entire life. And so I did the first thing I could think of. The closest thing to me was a corduroy couch. And so as I spit out the chip and the cheese and the jalapeno, I ran over to the couch, hoping that would provide some sort of relief. And I'm embarrassed to say it, I started licking this corduroy couch, hoping the ribs of the corduroy would just scrape this fire off of my tongue. And I licked and I licked it, and I licked this couch, just trying to get some sort of relief. But then I look up at her, and I turn back towards Mimi, is what we called her. I turned back towards Mimi, the babysitter, and I look at her, and there's still just tears running down my cheeks. And with a little smile, she goes, Joshua, do you want another nacho? I absolutely did not want another nacho. Okay, so it's ridiculous, right? But I think every single one of us been in a situation in our lives where we have had to deal with the consequences of our actions. Or as I say, we're all going to be put in a situation one day where we're going to have to lick the couch. We're all going to have to lick the couch. You're going to have to lick the couch sometime because you're going to make a decision. You're not going to listen to other people's advice. And people that you talk to, that you try to be the voice of reason with, they're going to have to lick the couch too. But we all know that a lesson taught is not nearly as important as a lesson that somebody learns. You could tell somebody to not do something, but until they realize on their own, then they're not going to really take it to heart. So while I wish I had listened to Mimi's reason in that story, what I realize is too often we use the idea of, no, I want to be a voice of reason. I want to give this person the knowledge that I wish I had had when I was in that situation. That entrenches them against us. It really does. I'll give you a great example. So I'm trying to count up the years. 9 years ago? I don't know. A lot of years ago, right? Eight years ago, maybe. I was working for this company, right? And this phenomenal guy had hired me on, and then he left the company. And then now I'm reporting to this guy named Michael. Now, Michael's a very smart guy. He came from a very big software company that was super successful. Like, he really knew his stuff. He was a phenomenal manager. I don't manage well. And I know that about myself. I'm probably not a great employee because I don't listen to a lot of people's direction. Once again, I don't want voices of reason. I just want voices of support. And I need to learn lessons on my own, hence the couch situation. But Michael, he had this way of asking questions where he would come into my office. At the time I was in sales, he would come into my office. He'd say, all right, Joshua, where are we at with these clients? I'm like, okay, so this is what I'm doing with this client. And before I could explain the full situation, he would start lobbing questions at me in some sort of a, not derogatory way, but an investigative way. He just wanted to know what was going on. I get it. He's at the executive level. He's got to talk to the team and the board and tell them what's going on with our organization. I get that. But what it felt like is I was being interrogated. Well, have you contacted this person at that client yet? Or why haven't you put this report back into the system yet? Or have you tried doing that? And it became oppressive. I know he was trying to help me see the things that I was missing. He was trying to help me see the traps with the way in which he presented the information. He was trying to be the voice of reason. And I didn't need that in the situation. I had my ducks in a row. What I needed in that situation, what I need from people that I report to, or at least used to report to before I started my own organization, is I needed support. I'm happy to run into problems, challenges. I might ask for your help, but unless I ask for your help, I don't necessarily want you up in my business. Do you ever get that thing where like you're trying to do something and somebody like gets up in your business like over the shoulder, like, oh hey, you should try doing that? Like literally, I was on a plane recently, right? And, okay, so you're gonna hear this. I said coach, all right, but I sit the aisle seat, right? I sit in the aisle seat, but I'm sitting in the aisle seat and there's two people next to me. They don't know each other, but the person in the middle seat is playing solitaire, right? Haven't seen somebody break out a deck of cards on a plane in years, but it's cool because they're sitting in there playing solitaire. And the person's playing, and then the person in the window seat leans over and goes, hey, you can put that 4 right there on that 3. And like they turned and they said, oh, thanks. But you could tell there was a lot of like frustration and anger. Maybe it's anxiety, probably anger behind it when they said, oh, thanks. But nobody wants you to lean over their shoulder and tell them what they need to be doing. Don't be the voice of reason. Don't be the voice of reason. Be the voice of support. All right? Because none of us think that we're being detractors in somebody else's life. We just think that we're trying to give them advice. People don't necessarily want your advice. Don't be like Michael, my old boss, that would come in there and just lob ideas and advice and question you to death until you felt like, I don't, why am I even doing this then? It entrenches people in the place that they are if you provide unsolicited advice. If they don't ask for it, don't give it. I've had to learn it the hard way. So I've been married 10 years this week, and it's amazing. I absolutely love my wife, but I had to learn that if she comes to me with a problem, the best thing I can do is listen. The best thing I can do is listen, which brings me on to my first thing. If you want to help be the voice of support, not the voice of reason in people's life, because the voice of support is a much better leader, because a leader sets an example. They don't direct their people what to do, right? The best employer are the ones that are supportive of their team, right? Not plain devil's advocate. All right. So the first lesson, right, is first you have to listen. As I said, I learned this early on in my marriage. You have to listen to the other person. So my wife, she got into an argument with one of her really good friends. And she came to me and she goes, well, look at this situation. She explained the whole situation and what was going on. And I'm sure it was some sort of disagreement about the dates for some sort of a birthday party or something. I have no idea. But she sits there and she starts not complaining, right? But talking through the situation. And she goes through the entire thing and she goes, so isn't that just terrible? And I easily see the problem. I was like, well, why don't you just change the date? Or why don't you just call them and do that? I can't jump to the solution. She didn't ask for one. Because if I do that, I'm now on the other person's side. I'm now part of the enemy encampment. You can't do that. If somebody comes to you to vent, you need to acknowledge what it is they just need to walk through everything that's going on. They'll come to a good conclusion themselves. Most people do. But a lot of times it helps to talk about exactly what's going on. You ever do that where if you have some sort of a complicated situation, you either storyboard it out or you need to go chat with somebody about it. And I oftentimes will go, like, look, I don't want advice. I want to share what's going on because it helps me see it from a different perspective, right? It gives me bearing. It helps me put all of my eggs in this basket so I can see all of them, which is a whole nother parable that you shouldn't put all eggs in one basket, but that's not what this is about. If somebody comes to you seeking advice, absolutely give them advice. But most of the time when people come to you and they want to share, it's because they need to vent. And the best thing you can do, if you're going to be a voice of support, not a voice of reason, right? Don't be the devil's advocate. If you're going to be a voice of support, you need to listen, all right? Second thing you can do is ask if they want help. Because some people don't want help, and some people don't want advice. Some people want somebody to sit with them and watch it help. But you need to find out. You really do. Most of the time, if my wife comes to me with a problem, she doesn't necessarily want help. She wants support, right? She wants to vent. She just wants me to listen, and I know that. Back up several years ago, I was working at this organization, and we had a few college interns. One of the interns, right, was charged with taking all these names from a list of people that we got at one of our trade shows, right? So people that came by a booth and signed up and said, hey, reach out to us. And so she's got this list of like 200 people. And so she's having trouble inputting that into our customer relationship management tool. And she's struggling. And she came by and she's like, man, I'm having trouble doing this, but I'm trying to figure it out. And she would have gone back and struggled through it for the next 2 days, I'm sure. If I hadn't said, "What do you want a hand with that? Would you like some help?" And Crystal goes, "Absolutely, I'd love some help." I was like, "Perfect, not a problem." She was a hard worker, right? She wanted to do what was right, but she just didn't have the knowledge. Me offering, "Hey, well, would you like some help?" I didn't say, "Let me show you how to do it," because that's presumptive. It's also kind of a dick thing to say. No, I said, "Would you like some help?" But she goes, "Oh, absolutely, that would be great." And so I walked over, showed her how to do a mass import, right? She was able to do it very quickly. She was thankful for it, right? We high-fived and got on with our business. But don't give people help unless you ask them, "Hey, would you like help?" They're like, "No, I don't need any help." Okay, then you can back off, save yourself time, right? And save their emotions. Now, the third thing, and this is most important, if you're going to be the voice of support, not the voice of reason, this is what I ask myself in every interaction. Check this out. When I walk into any sort of situation where I'm going to be talking to another human being, I ask myself this question: how can I positively impact this person? Positively impact, right? Not positively impact the outcome, positively impact this person, right? Because nobody thinks that they're being a detractor. Nobody thinks that they're being oppressive. Nobody thinks that they are belittling that person's ideas or stance, but it happens, right? There's a lot of miscommunication in the world, and it's surprising that we get as many ideas across to each other as we do, but there's a lot of people out there that don't realize that they're only being negative. No, I'm just giving them ideas. I'm the voice of reason. Well, the voice of reason is sometimes sinister, and it's not very nice. And so I'm telling you right now, do not be the voice of reason. Be the voice of support. So when you walk up to somebody and you're having a conversation, ask, how can I positively impact this person? Because if you positively impact them first, not positively impact the outcome, but the actual individual to where they feel better, they're more likely to listen to advice. They're more likely to seek out your advice. Because now you're not just some sort of overbearing manager or overbearing individual trying to, force your will upon others. You're somebody that actually cares, because if you listened, you've asked if they want help, you've positively impacted them, and all of a sudden now you're not just a supporter, right? You're a collaborator, right? A cohort, as it were. So once again, those things again are for you to be the voice of support, not the voice of reason, be the voice of support. First, listen. Next, ask if they even want help. And third, ask yourself, how can I positively impact this person? What can you do for this individual to make their life, their day, their week a little bit better? That's how you become supportive, all right? So once again, I'm so glad you're here. Thanks for coming. I'm going to say it one last time because I think it's so important. Do not be the voice of reason. Be the voice of support. So I'm Josh Evans, and this has been so much fun. Feel free to reach out to me on any social media at enthusiasticyou, YOU, or you can shoot me an email, info@joshuamevans.com, and I look forward to seeing y'all. Y'all have an awesome, awesome day.